let's start. 2007, 2006, you know, we had this panel that we had in Amsterdam half a year ago, and then 1 year ago we already had something very similar with Shai and Barak on stage, and also with Yuval. And I want to hear from each one of you here on stage, in your eyes, what happened in the last year here in Israel, in the worldwide gaming scene, in the Forex and the binary? I want to hear how you analyze it and how did it affect your business. So let's start with my friend Asaf.
Okay, I think the biggest trend on 2016 was mergers and acquisitions. It started late on to 2015 with the merger of Paddy Power and Betfair, and the merge to the acquisition of merger of Ladbox and Gala Coral, and also Bwin, etc. And it's propagated also to the affiliate world, where big companies like Excel Media and Catena Media bought smaller affiliates. Just for example, on April, Catena Media bought Us Gambler, a big gambling portal, for 15 million euros. And just 3 days ago, they bought another portal called the Casino UK for more than 10 million pounds. I think we'll continue to see consolidation on the affiliation market, and also on the operators market. And this is one of the biggest things that happened this year.
Thank you so much, Asaf. Susan O'Leary.
I think the changes that I see is kind of over the last 6 years, business has been dealing with changes to regulation, trying to cope with that. And now they're looking to disrupt the sector again in respect of, you know, it's the innovation panel in tech in particular, bringing in new products that will genuinely disrupt the sector, like payment processing in particular. Developing markets as well have so much to offer. The mature markets, say in terms of payment processing, fintech, banking, just, you know, augmented reality, virtual reality, blockchain, Bitcoin, all these sectors are now being more adopted into the more mature market. So innovation in general, a hunger for more trailblazing ideas.
So what Asaf spoke about the M&A, we see it in the market. We see it also companies that have been registered also go and register themselves in Alderney, and we see also Alderney catering for players that are registered in other jurisdictions as well.
Well, that's it. It applies to, you know, all types of gambling can be done through the Alderney team, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Susan.
I think the regulation affected a lot. There was a regulation in, I think, all kind of industries, in the gambling, in the finance, and in the processing, which affected all businesses and all operations, many of the binaries, Forex, and also in the lottery with respect to the processing. It affected it, and then we had to do some changes. In some industries, it came to consolidations. In other industries, some other solution that they found. That's
Yuval, in your industry specifically, okay, maybe I didn't give enough outline on the industries. So Asaf does the sports betting and affiliation. Susan is actually a regulator. She's working not officially for the regulator because they did some kind of division as they did in Malta, but she's working for Alderney, the government of Alderney. Then we have Yuval, he's from the lottery business. Now, when we speak here on lottery, we have like the lottery, like the guys that do official lotteries of the government. What actually Yuval is dealing with is with something that we legally call secondary lotto. It means that people actually, companies, buy tickets from one place and sell it from another place. And that is a very interesting vertical. Let's say a Chinese guy wants to gamble on the Powerball in, where is the Powerball, Yuval? United States. United States, but specifically California or Florida?
Almost all states.
Okay, okay. So let's say a Chinese guy wants to gamble on a Florida or in a US lottery. So the idea in the secondary lotto is that the operator either buys a ticket in the United States and sell it to China, or and that's the more interesting issue, insures himself. And I'm saying, like, you know, how do you sue this mechot, quotation marks, insure himself. I don't know how does they insure himself from that win. Some of them, I don't know, insure or do not insure. You can speak about it.
Basically, in the messenger, on the first part, that on the secondary lottery, what Ron said is that the client can enter and choose any kind of lottery, official lottery that he wants, like a Japanese guy wants to buy American Powerball lottery. He comes, he chooses his numbers, he pays the money, and then we have agents that are buying the real tickets in, we are doing it in New York and in California. And then he gets the real tickets scanned into his online account. So he actually sees what he paid for with the barcode and everything. That's option number one. Option number two that Ron spoke about is insuring the ticket, meaning I don't need to have all these agents and printing and scanning on all of this crazy system. We simply integrate to Lloyd's of London, for example, and they insure us for the jackpot, meaning if there will be a jackpot, Lloyd's of London will actually pay the jackpot to the client. These are mainly the two options. In insurance model, there's another kind of an insurance that is being done by pension funds and stuff like that, that are insuring it instead of an insurance company. But these are the two options.
Thank you, Yuval. Barak Eisenstein. How was 2006 for Fantasy Network and for you personally?
I think what's interesting in the last year is to see how fantasy sport evolved from, I think, US phenomenon. Then we see now, I think, like early beginning of any other vertical in iGaming, how this trend moves into Europe, Asia, Latin America. Really feel the beginning of a new vertical, and seems like all of the fantasy sport game, the manager games, is pretty much like a product of old generation, I would say. Also, another indicator which is interesting, I think, is to see the shifting from random number generator games towards skill games, and the preference of younger generations going this route. Seems like the amount of brands, the amount of marketing, and amount of users that will be in fantasy sports during the upcoming years, also in Europe, also in Latin America and Asia, is going to be massive, with a lot of sports betting companies going to enter the field. Seems like exciting times, and looking forward to update you next year, you know, the amount of brands.
Yuval is a bit modest. They had also a very interesting deal with Azteca TV this year.
We have a strategic partnership with the Grupo Salinas Group in Mexico. TV Azteca is one of the largest media groups in South America. And I think what's interesting about this type of deal is the ambition of such a large media body to establish the largest fantasy sports site in Latin America. They are spending about $12 million in marketing during the next 3 years. It's involved TV commercials, using very famous figures in the Mexican market in order to educate what is fantasy sport and how people should play. And it seems like an exciting time to be there.
Thanks, Yuval. Thanks, Barak. When we started speaking about fantasy sport, then I realized last year we actually did here in the same place. We had a panel with Avia as moderator on fantasy sports, esports, and we called it all the newest kids on the block. This year we already entered into a straight hardcore discussion, but as I see many new faces here, maybe I will just say one word about what is fantasy sport. So it's not some kind of, I don't know, TV show, fantasy sport, or a cartoon on network. Fantasy sport, with those who do not know about it, it's the idea when me as a player can create my own team of players. They're all full and real people that play on a real league. And let's say I can do my fantasy. I can have Ziv Amar, I can have Avia, I can have my friend from Medak Nasim, and Sigal as a team. And then according to the real life results, we see if I win or I lose, etc. Now, fantasy sports started, Barak, like 50 years ago, in the 60s, in the United States, something as a hobby that people actually played in the weekend, etc. And now it started really big also online, and with something which is called daily fantasy sport, which is very close to gambling, because at the end of the day, it's not season long. It's like you can actually bet on shorter frequency of time. And why is it so interesting, and what makes actually a company like Fantasy Network successful? Because in the end of the day, people looking into new opportunities. Now this industry, and Barak will correct me if I'm wrong, like DraftKings and FanDuel, before their proposed merger, they do billions.
In the US, the market of daily fantasy sport is exploding. Two companies, each one raised about $500 million.
$500 million raised in equity.
Yeah, and once you invest such a sum into marketing, so I think the education now of users in the US is immense. Any live broadcast of NFL, NBA, you can see their commercials. And I think what's interesting is that all of the sports booking businesses, whether it's in Europe, Asia, rest of the world, saw this phenomenon in the US, and each one has now ambition of creating the daily fantasy sport destination in his jurisdiction. So, for example, we signed lately a deal with an Indian operator of fantasy cricket that is going to use our platform for the other sports. And you can see in India, just the daily fantasy sports cricket players already estimated just now more than 1 million, and it just started in less than a year. So you have daily fantasy sports on rugby in Australia, Russian hockey league in Russia. So it's just it's the first stage of creating liquidity bases in the world. And I think what you will see in a year, 2 years, and 3 years from now is the amount of players and the amount of cash prizes in each network will grow, and that's what will bring the mass market eventually. And I think that's an interesting stage, because if you look at the percentage of the sports booking businesses offering fantasy at the moment, so it's really just a few, and that's interesting timing.
Thank you so much, Barak. Thank you. And Shai, who was waiting patiently. I'm not used for him to wait patiently. Usually he says whatever he thinks. So thank you, Shai. And how was 2016 for you?
Thank you very much. 2016 for us was a breakthrough year for Airsoft. Like Tal mentioned, we've been around for just a little bit over 2 years. Towards the end of 2015, we rolled out our FX and CFD technology. Airsoft initially started as strictly as a binary option technology provider. One of the first things that I did from product side when I joined the company is to develop the Forex and CFD. I think the majority of the white labels that we sign, or the clients that we signed today, are from that sector. That was really the majority of as far as the growth of the company. The biggest impact of 2016, I think my colleagues touched based on it a little bit. Obviously, regulation. Regulation in this business is something that's affecting everybody. It's getting more and more complex. I think the binary option as a financial product is still at its early stage when you compare it to Forex or to the equity markets or the bond market, which are much more mature. And I think regulation, which obviously affect payment providers, banks, all that across all that spectrum is going to continue to affect us. It's important for everybody to be more responsible and to be more up to date. I think the job today as a technology provider, and that's what I tell all my employees, is to be more proactive, to talk more to the clients, and to see where we could do and give more help, if it's on introducing to the right PSPs, to the right affiliates, to the right banking. I think it's our responsibility to our clients and also to the market.
Thank you. I couldn't add more. I agree with what you say. Asaf, you are moving to Malta, so we will miss you. And let me know about, Asaf was now also in Sigma, speaker in Sigma. Sigma is the summit of iGaming in Malta, which you're also partners in. And I can tell you that it was nice to see you on stage with all these VIPs, which I actually do not know. I do not understand in sport at all. Why did you move to Malta?
First of all, our company is in the edge of growth, and I really spend a lot of thinking where is the right place to do this. And I found I heard about Malta a few years ago, as everybody heard about it. But recently I researched more and saw that there are on 5 square miles, you can find 250 iGaming companies there. Many talents are going there, and the supportiveness of the government of our industry creates an ecosystem which will help us achieve our goals, and we have big goals, and Malta looks to be the place to do it right now, with the right manpower that resides there, with the collaboration with the companies that moved to Malta or were created in Malta. And we see it as a huge opportunity, and hopefully it will come true. We started the process, and we have to wait a few months to get the final result and also final approval from the wife. But
that's the most important factor, the wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shai has a wife
Yeah.
and a baby.
Yes,
And he
the
actually
wife
took them to the event now to
Yes,
see
we were
Malta.
in Sigma
Yeah.
2 weeks ago.
I can tell you, not politically incorrectness. I hope we're all here open. When he I hope they won't get me here. But he told me, listen, from the airport to the hotel, it looks like Gaza with a sea. But I told him, but Gaza has a sea. Yeah, but Gaza with So look, that what is in first his first thing that went into his mind without filters is that it looks very Middle Eastern and not very attractive on the way from the airport to the place. But afterwards, when we went and hang out in the evening, and
yes, we hang out. We saw Slima and Valletta, and it's a beautiful country.
Exactly.
Much more than I thought. I thought that only good for business, but it's also a good place. I know a lot of people that live in Malta for many years, and I just heard good things, and also saw the supportiveness of also governmental institutes towards our industry, and it sounds very promising, and hopefully next year you will buy me a flight ticket and I'll come here to talk.
Hopefully. Thank you so much, Susan. Susan from Alderney, and I can confess that in Malta we already have an office, but in Alderney I've never been before. I was in Isle of Man a few times.
Yeah.
And Susan, let us know, and some of the people here in the event, and we have operators and platforms opening or have their own brands of operations, all of course legally. We're not speaking about pirated gaming. We're speaking about legal gaming, and let us know, as newcomers to the field, why to go it and do it on the Alderney way.
Well, Alderney's been a regulator for over 15 years, one of the original regulators. To set up your business, you don't actually have to be living in Alderney with the 2,000 people. Alderney's part of the bailiwick of Guernsey, which is much bigger. It's a collection of islands, so it's a lot bigger setup. A lot of businesses choose to set themselves up in Guernsey, but the cool thing about the Alderney regime is it can be based anywhere in the world. It's one of the only regulatory regimes that you can set up in various jurisdictions around the world, which a lot of the operators like. It's a pity we didn't get to talk before you decided to move to Malta. But the two things, being on the the innovation panel and from moving forward, what Shay was saying about the collaboration with regulators understanding his type of business, I think in general for businesses and operators to move forward, it's imperative that there's a symbiotic relationship between regulators and operators and service providers. It's the only way that the regulators can help you guys to move forward. Just communication is key. I met with an operator in Tel Aviv yesterday who's moving from a nameless jurisdiction to us for the reason that they couldn't communicate with the regulator. It was virtually impossible for them to get in touch with them to explain their business model, and that's, I think, is really important for the sector.
I will address the point that now Susan said, and I cannot agree more. the regulator there is John Stark, a very nice young guy. I met him in the regulator summit in the Philippines. Very, very approachable. Now, I can only compare it probably to the chairman of the Malta Gaming Authority, or also here, Joseph. Imagine, in Israel, I cannot even imagine me standing, buying a coffee, and speak with a regulator on a cup of coffee, of drinking a beer. When we're speaking about jurisdictions like Alderney, like Malta, even like Jib. In Jib, you can even sit with the minister of iGaming, go to his backyard. I think it's very, very important.
It's so important, but like that's the one thing. So what Alderney does is, as soon as you apply, you're assigned a relationship manager. And that relationship manager is with you the entire life cycle of you being a licensee. So they work, you've a hotline to them at all times, and they jump into your business to help you grow. So it's like a management consultancy arm. So the licensees, once they come to Alderney, they very rarely leave because they love the extra bit that they give. And the other thing, I think regulators in general, so not just us, I think all regulators should apply. It's what Jörn and I, we're both in this. I'm a gaming lawyer for 10 years before I took this job on, and Jörn was a regulator in a different capacity. So we've both started our roles in the last year. And the one thing we're trying to push massively is to apply a risk-based approach in general. Like, you can't treat one business the same as another. Some different types of betting are completely different and much more high risk or much more low risk. Other operators may have been with you for 15 years. They should be treated differently than the new one coming in from a developing market with no experience. So I think it's crucial in general that there's more communication between regulators. They're not so scary, and they can do a lot for your business. So if anyone wants to talk about any of that later on, just let me know.
Thank you so much, Susan. Thank you. Thank you. Yuval. Yes. So we spoke about the lottery business, and I can tell you like stuff that probably Yuval will not say, that some of the operations closed last year. We all know it's not an easy time for gaming in general. Forex and binary is also going over a challenging time, and we all hope that it will continue and grow. And of course, that we're speaking about the good stuff, the regulated stuff, the healthy stuff that brings business here to Tel Aviv and to the world. Now, we knew that there were a few B2B operations. A lot of tech is not dealing anymore with B2B. B2C, some of them has been, moving away. Let me know, how does it affect, what do you think will be continue? Are you planning to introduce anything new to this cycle or to the table?
Until now, we were doing only the lottery messenger, meaning buying the real ticket, scanning what we spoke before. Right now, what we are going to do is going into the regulated market, meaning having a gambling license starting from probably it's UK, Australia, and we are checking now Malta as well. And then going into the insurance model. I think it's an important thing or a smart thing to have a consolidation between, or have both operations, an insurance model or a gambling regulated operation and an unregulated, still legal, but an unregulated doing the insurance model of, the buying and printing and scanning the real tickets. These are the two models, and doing both of them will give those companies that will do both an advantage over others. As a regulated operation, you will be able to bring much bigger and cheaper amount of clients, cheaper with respect to cost of clients, but amount of clients it's much higher, while reducing the cost of the actual buying of the real tickets. As in insurance model in general, the actual ticket cost about half of what costs a real ticket in the store. So these are the advantages of the regulated operations, and the advantage of the unregulated, of the actually buying the real tickets, is first of all for clients. There are clients that wants to see the real tickets. Most of them are maybe old-fashioned, but that's what they believe in. It also helps to be covered fully for the jackpot. When jackpots are very, very high, like we had on January this year of $1.5 billion in the American Powerball, then the premium of the insurance premium for the cost of ticket is much, much higher than the real ticket. So if a real ticket costs $1, usually the insurance costs $50. In cases like the jackpot is $500,000 and above, or even 300 million and above, it can cost to 2, 3, 5, and over that for the cost of ticket, and then it's much better to actually be covered by simply buying the real ticket. So that's, I think, doing both is something very smart for all operations. And maybe there will be consolidations between companies that are doing one of the things and then enjoy both. I believe always consolidation or partnership of 1 + 1 = always 3. I guess this is why I always failed the maths exams back in school, but that's fine. In business is something else.
Thank you, Yuval. And if you want, Yuval will be here in the booth soon with Anastasia Veselov, the queen of yoga, and also one of his team members. Also, I see here Aviv Levi from Spot Option and Shai Cohen also there. So they'll be also here around to speak with you. And we have 5 minutes left. We have now my friend Barak. Also, I would like to hear, we spoke about 2016, 2017, and now we have a problem because there is a public company. And you know, if you are being listed on NASDAQ, you need to put an asterisk. This is not a forward-looking statement. So with all the disclaimers, Barak and Ron Suleiman is also here. Please let us know what's going on in 2017 in your eyes, without failing the disclosure. Yeah.
Okay, so just I would say a few interesting points about fantasy sports and evolution and what's going on now in the industry. First of all, our colleagues from Malta are now visiting Tel Aviv, and I think first news is Malta is going to be the first jurisdiction in Europe to offer a regulation around fantasy sport and skill games. And once it happens, and we're talking about very soon,
it's already inside. We're just waiting it to pass for the final. And yes, exactly, it's a story we didn't speak about. Yes. But
yeah, so it's interesting timing. I think it's pretty much the shift that even took online poker to be a mass market. So when the regulator embraced it, and I think that's the point of Malta, that want to distinguish itself as the destination in Europe for skill games and fantasy sport. Elderly also can join the regulators, because UK is also an interesting market when it's come to fantasy sports. Another thing which I think is very interesting in the fantasy sports business, users are playing between themselves against each other. It's very different than other verticals that in this conference that usually based on random number generator or other fields. So I think what will be interesting this year is to see it's going to be explosion in the UK soon. DraftKings launched their product over there, recruit about 200 people, huge marketing budget. So I think Europe is going to be bombarded with advertising and market education about fantasy sport. So it seems like it's going to be an exciting one.
Thank you, Barak. Shai, and before Shai, I will a bit background. As we spoke, and as I believe many of these people here know, Israel is in a challenging era now, and people are all the time looking for new. And Shai, you offer, Airsoft offers lots of binary verticals, but also they have like some kinds of simplified forex. And I want to know, there's another player who I also met the other guys there here inside, Hello Markets, that started with Hello Football, and they call themselves Hello Group, and they sell diamonds. And people are looking for new verticals, and I would like to hear from Shai, what does Airsoft plan to propose in 2017, of course, without disclosing any trade secrets?
Well, we're always, like I said before, we're always in tune to the market and talking to our clients to try to see if there's different verticals that could be used using the base of the technology. I can't really discuss them because all these issues, all these new ideas are still in development, and we're trying to study them. I can say that we could divide the focus for 2017 to two issues. Operational issues is the regulation. We're looking into moving forward to a different jurisdiction to give our brands a regulated umbrella, and that is something that's going to be very important. Again, it's going to dictate the growth of the industry. And on the second part, from the client side, Simplified FX, we're investing a lot of resource in our mobile apps, in our all the user interface. I think clients today in the world are more knowledgeable than they were in the past. I think the competition is greater for our clients, and we're trying to give them that technology added value to help them succeed.
Thank you so much, Shai Ben Chamo, and thank you so much, Asaf, Susan, Yuval, Barak, Shai. Thank you, my friends here.